This is how to throw a bowl on the wheel. First thing you need to do is make sure that you have a nice 1 pound or maybe just a little bit bigger, nice sphere made. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put it on a dry bat. Make sure that you figure out where the center is by using the water trick from Ceramics 1. And then I kind of tap it down a little bit. And then what you want to do is you want to just center it. Centering is half the battle. So it's basically the same as a cylinder, just center the clay so it's not going back and forth. Once the clay is somewhat centered, then I always like to kind of make that upside down pop can piece on the top. That just further wedges it towards the center. You kind of want to keep this as wide at the base as what you actually want. So what happened on this particular instance is mine got a little wide, and you'll see that extra apron of clay right down there at the bottom. I like to kind of get rid of that and sort of even it up because it will sort of mess you up as you go. So now that I've got it centered and I've got that kind of flatter top, um, now I can come back and start shaping it the way that I want to. So you see that extra piece? You're probably going to want to get rid of that. And I don't like, stuff on my pants, so I always clean it up. I just take a tool and I just kind of get rid of some of that extra stuff. I like the 90-degree tool for that. It makes it really nice and crisp, and then you know where you started. So now I'm just gonna kind of shape this a bit. I'm just still trying to get it completely into center. What you want to do then is once you have that, then you're going to just start going down in to the clay. Now, this is one method of doing this. You can kind of take your hand and move back and forth and sort of dig into that clay. And then a lot of people take their finger and pull towards them. This is just one way to make a bowl. There are other ways. You can actually do it similar to a cylinder and then just move your inside hand a little bit faster than your outside. You can do it that way too. But for the most part, I do one of those two techniques. I like to keep rocking it kind of back and forth and getting that inside sort of very bowl-like. I also do like to support the outside just in case because that is going to start to stretch the clay a bit. So you'll see me doing a bit of this. Now it just depends on how far you want to have this bowl come out. Try not to go too far out from the base if you can. That would be my suggestion. So once you've kind of rocked that back and forth for a little bit of time, kind of hold on or brace the outside and then start to thin the walls out so that you have something that is a little bit thinner at the top. Now, some potters will say you need to leave a little bit of extra right at the top just for a lip. That's okay too. You don't want to go too thin because too thin does become a problem. It'll make that very fragile at the top. And depending on what you're going to use this for, you might want to keep the rim or the lip just slightly thicker than you think you would need. I like to use some of the rib tools, the ones that are very soft. to get some of these curves onto a bowl as well. So it's just sort of what is your favorite tool? Sometimes you could use a sponge as well. So I'm going to use a sponge now to kind of just come in here and get a little bit of the bottom compressed and then pull up a little bit so that I can get some of that sort of curve for the bowl. And I'm just going to push out a little bit with the sponge. You can use a rib to do that as well. It's personal preference. It's just sort of what you feel you want to push that out with. But I wouldn't use a very stiff or hard tool to do it because you do want it to sort of curve a little bit. Sponges, I think, are really good for that, depending on how you are with dealing with your sponge. So once you've got the inside of the bowl kind of the way that you want it, what I would do is I would go ahead and foot the bottom. We are going to be doing quite a bit of trimming on a bowl to get it to be in the shape that we want it. So you can leave that somewhat thick. What I would want to do is, though, get rid of that apron of clay that you've had on there um, this whole time that was actually in previous in the video was a little bit off center. It was making things look like it was off center. So get rid of that. And then what you want to do is take the bat off of the wheel head. Make sure that your piece is trimmed or at least footed correctly. I'm actually just going to take a sponge and just smooth that out a bit. It had a little bit of a rougher spot. And I always kind of do that last. Like I said, we are going to do quite a bit of trimming on this. And so what you want to do is just make sure that you get a nice, kind of finished edge to begin with. Then what you would want to do, put this or leave it on the bat. Don't cut it off. Put it into the dam cabinet or put a plastic bucket over the top.